Breaking the Chains of Fear, Aarav's Journey to English Fluency. The fear that held him back. Aarav was a talented 24-year-old with a passion for technology. He dreamed of working in a top software company, collaborating with international clients, and traveling the world. But one thing stood in his way: his fear of speaking English. Though Aarav was knowledgeable and highly skilled, he always felt nervous about expressing himself in English. He avoided meetings, stayed quiet in discussions, and hesitated to apply for jobs that required fluency. The thought of making mistakes or being judged left him feeling paralyzed. One day, Aarav saw a job listing for his dream role at a multinational company. It was everything he ever wanted, but the requirement was clear: proficiency in spoken and written English. Aarav stared at the listing, his heart heavy. What if I embarrass myself during the interview? He thought. But something inside him stirred. Enough is enough. I have to conquer this fear, he decided. Seeking guidance, a mentor's advice. The next day, Aarav visited his uncle Ravi, a seasoned public speaker who often conducted workshops in English. Aarav shared his struggle, feeling embarrassed but desperate for advice. Ravi listened patiently and said, "Aarav, the fear you feel is normal. But do you know what creates confidence? Action." He leaned closer and smiled. "You have to stop worrying about what others think. The more you speak, the more comfortable you'll become. I'll guide you, but you have to promise me one thing: you won't give up, no matter how hard it gets." Aarav nodded. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to try. Starting with small steps. Ravi's first task for Aarav was to speak out loud every day, not to others, but to himself. Narrate your actions. If you're making tea, say, "I am boiling water." If you're walking to the store, describe what you see. Train your brain to think and speak in English. It felt silly at first. Aarav found himself awkwardly saying things like, "I am brushing my teeth now," and "the sky is very blue today." But with time, it became easier. These small moments helped him break the mental block of speaking English, even if only to himself. Practice through real conversations. After 2 weeks, Ravi introduced Aarav to a new challenge: speaking to strangers in English. Aarav's heart raced at the thought. What if they laugh at me? He asked nervously. Ravi chuckled. The only person laughing at you is the fear inside your head. Talk to people, even if it's just a sentence or two. Start with small interactions, like asking for directions or ordering food. The next day, Aarav gathered his courage and went to a nearby coffee shop. When it was his turn to order, he took a deep breath. "Hi. Can I have a cappuccino, please?" he asked, his voice slightly shaky. The barista smiled. "Sure. Anything else?" Aarav felt a rush of relief. It wasn't perfect, but I did it, he thought. These small successes gave him the confidence to keep trying. He started chatting with people at grocery stores, in parks, and during bus rides. The more he spoke, the less intimidating it felt. Joining a language exchange group. To build on his progress, Ravi encouraged Aarav to join a local English conversation club. The club had members from different backgrounds, all working on improving their English. They met weekly to discuss various topics, from movies to current events. At his first meeting, Aarav felt his hands tremble as he introduced himself. But the group members were warm and welcoming. "Don't worry about being perfect," one member said. "We all make mistakes. That's how we learn." Over the next few weeks, Aarav found himself speaking more comfortably. He even led a discussion about his favorite book, something he never imagined he could do in English. Each conversation chipped away at his fear, and he began enjoying the process of learning. Learning from mistakes. One evening, Aarav joined an online meeting with some international tech enthusiasts. During the discussion, he mispronounced the word algorithm. Embarrassed, he apologized, expecting the others to correct him harshly. Instead, one of the participants smiled and said, "No worries, Aarav. It happens to all of us. Just keep going." In that moment, Aarav realized something important. Everyone makes mistakes, even fluent speakers. What mattered was not avoiding mistakes but learning from them. This mindset shift allowed him to relax. Rather than fearing mistakes, he welcomed them as part of the learning process. Immersing in the language. To further improve, Aarav immersed himself in English. He switched the language on his phone and computer to English, started journaling in English, and watched English movies and TV shows with subtitles. He also followed podcasts related to technology, listening to them on his morning walks. At first, he found it hard to understand everything. But he stuck with it, and slowly, his listening skills improved. He noticed that he was beginning to understand English conversations more easily, and even thinking in English sometimes. The big test, job interview. After months of practice, Aarav felt ready to apply for the job at the multinational company. When he received an email inviting him for an interview, his stomach churned with nerves. But this time, he was prepared. On the day of the interview, Aarav sat confidently across from the panel. He answered the questions clearly, sharing his ideas without hesitation. At one point, the interviewer asked him, "What motivates you?" Aarav smiled. "What motivates me is the desire to grow. I believe challenges, like learning English, are opportunities to improve. I may not be perfect, but I keep trying. And that's what drives me." The interviewers exchanged impressed glances. Aarav felt a surge of pride. "I've come so far. A new beginning." A week later, Aarav received a call. He got the job. As he sat in his room, holding the offer letter, he reflected on his journey. The boy who once feared speaking English had now faced his fear head-on and emerged stronger. Aarav knew that learning was a continuous process, and he still had room to improve. But now, he was no longer afraid. He was excited to keep growing and using English as a tool to connect with the world. The lesson learned. Aarav's journey shows that fear is just an illusion, one that fades when you confront it. Speaking English confidently isn't about being perfect, it's about practicing, making mistakes, and learning along the way. His story reminds us that progress comes from consistent effort, small steps, and believing in yourself. Confidence is not something you wait for, it's something you build, one conversation at a time. Moral of the story. The key to overcoming fear lies in facing it. Whether it's English or any other skill, persistence and courage make all the difference. Like Aarav, we must remember that mistakes are not failures, they are stepping stones toward growth. With time, effort, and a positive mindset, fluency and confidence will follow.